The Chiefs have a new addition, and the Lions are the best team in the National Football League. Let's talk about it on Outside the Trentons. Cheers.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Hanging out with my guys, Nick Leckey and Big B Brien Hanley on today's episode. Got a lot going on. Got some news before this episode today. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us live. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But Nick, how was your football watching weekend?
It's good. It was really good. You know, I watched the second half of the Cats game, and I just love love going to Twitter. I figured out how to manage Twitter. I have a weird relationship with Twitter nowadays because a lot of people complain. We've talked about this before.
Oh, yeah.
And I love people's hyperbole. I love people taking one data set, one game. We're talking K-State football, and just saying, oh, that's it. He's the truth. Let's do it. You know, it's like whatever. And it's like, hey, let's pump the brakes. Like, before we, you know, sign the next Matt Flynn to a great contract. But yeah, no, it was Cats won. Lubbock is a tough place to play at night. And the Chiefs, was this the Thursday game?
This was it's been a while. Yeah.
Grief. Yeah. So it was like a week ago. You know, it just feels like forever. When the Chiefs don't play on Sunday, it just throws off my whole week.
It really does. Thursday night games need to be abolished. Players think that. Fans think that. Thursday games, too long for fans to marinate. I'm going to say it. Too long. There's too many takes that get formulated after Thursday games. Big B, what did you do this weekend? How was your football watching weekend?
It was good. Like Nick said, I mean, K-State won. Physical football game. We just basically ran the ball down their throat. But you're exactly right, Nick. Is just everybody just constantly, okay, we got to play him. Cut Will, take him off scholarship. I'm like, Jiminy, let's hold on a second, man. Has he thrown a pass 5 yards, 10 yards down the field yet?
No.
Let's just wait a second before we just – I love what he did. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. But there's way more to football, and we just figured out Tech can't stop us, and we just kept doing that, which is smart. But let's just hold on for a second. Let's hold on.
Hey, Tucker.
Yeah, what's up?
Or Nick, what were Avery's stats? Did you see his stats? The most classic K-State stat line ever.
I know he had 5 touchdowns.
He had 7 of 9 for like 80 yards passing.
I don't even know if it was 80. I mean, they were all swing passes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were swing passes, which, don't get me wrong, I'm glad. Yeah. That's all he needed to do. But come on now, that's not sustainable football, man. It's just not.
You're not gonna win a lot of games. You'll win 1 or 2 like that, but no, you can't. You can't go to like play Oklahoma and get that done like that. That was,
He has 132 passing yards on the year. That tells you anything about how his day went.
Just getting started though.
He is. Listen, I think he's very talented. I liked him coming out of Mays High, Wichita's own. There, and I'm trying to find single game. I'm only getting season stats here, but I mean, he's a great rushing quarterback. He made some plays on his with the feet. He scared me against Missouri. I thought that they were going to play him a lot more than they did against Missouri.
Oh, hey, don't bring up Missouri, please, Tucker. You had your moment. I skipped that week.
I gotta continually give you smoke though, because you did skip that. Shout out to producer Nick Springer, also a Mays High alum, Wichita's own. So it's just a couple Mays High boys going at it, like just guys being dudes there. I mean, just a couple good Mays guys. But some great college football. Missouri played well, if you were wondering.
I was not.
You know what?
Ranked 25.
I'm from Louisville, and I'm a diehard Louisville fan, so they beat the brakes off Kentucky. So go ahead, Mizzou. More power to you.
Louisville's having themselves a good year.
And they lost to Pitt, got embarrassed. Let's move on.
That's fine.
Don't bring that up. This is an NFL show.
Yeah.
NFL show. We're gonna wait until we get 5 minutes into this podcast. Let me wait a little bit longer so we can get to that 5-minute mark. Now we'll talk about not Avery Johnson. I'm sorry. Micole Hardman getting traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to know, Big B, your thoughts right off the bat. I know I was in the middle of recording another podcast when that news came down. And I saw the notification. I didn't even need to read the whole thing. I just saw Micole Hardman traded, and I said, oh, that's to the Chiefs. Because I didn't think of any other team would be trading for him. But what was your reaction when you saw that news come down that Micole Hardman is now a Kansas City Chief again?
Yeah, I was in the middle of doing a live stream, and it was the same thing. Somebody asked me the question, and I'm like, huh? So I look it up, and I'm like, well, he's going back to the Chiefs. I go, well, yeah, that makes sense. I think it's a great move for the Chiefs, to be honest with you. They gave up nothing to get him back. I'm sure the money, whatever that's involved, I'm sure the Jets are taking the lion's share of that.
Yeah.
It was a one-year deal anyway. So I think it's great. I have no idea why the Jets didn't use him. I mean, you got the guy, you paid the guy. Why not use the guy? You know what he's good at, but they just never put him on the field. And I believe that the Chiefs are going to put him on the field. He's going to get some usage unless he just can't play anymore, which I find that very hard to believe. I find it very hard to believe. I just think that the Jets just didn't know how to use him.
Right.
I think the Chiefs do. I think it's a great move for the Chiefs because they need the help.
Yeah. You know, it's weird when you get the band back together. Like, is it too much trying? Is it like when you like redate your high school girlfriend, right? You're like, hey, we've been there, done that, and it didn't work out. So we're going to try it again. Like, does that end poorly? Like, do you try to force the ball to him? I read somewhere that it is good backup for if wide receivers get hurt and they are delicate creatures. You know, they have very taut hamstrings. You know, I wouldn't know because, you know, I don't have hamstrings to pull. I'm not an athlete, as they say. But I love it as far as adding depth. Like, you had depth to the roster. You had depth to the wide receiver room. You had veteran leadership. And a guy who's like, okay, you know, maybe he can, you know, steal a show somehow, right? Or contribute like he does. So it couldn't hurt.
No.
It couldn't hurt.
I don't think so.
Always make that good move, right?
Yeah, it's a pick swap in late round picks. The Chiefs give up a 2025 sixth round, and they get back a 2025 seventh rounder. So, not much of anything really what the Chiefs give up there, and for Micole Hardman, a guy who again already knows the system. I saw a lot of people when we were live streaming and just talking about this. They're like, well, should have got Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown doesn't know the system. It'll take him a couple weeks to get used to it, to get the system to hit the ground running. With Micole Hardman, they can be like, all right, remember those jet sweeps you ran last year for those end rounds? Let's just do some of those again. Let's try to get that speed out there because the speed is something that the Chiefs don't really have on the team right now. They went from having a lot of speed on that offense to not a whole lot. Now, Rashee Rice has some speed, not the same kind of speed that Micole Hardman is. Like, Micole Hardman's like pushing 4.2s in type of how fast he is. And if you watch this, Craig Stout made this point in a group chat when we were kind of just talking about it. And I think this is a really good point. I got to give Craig credit for this. Is if you watch last year's offense, the safeties had to respect Micole Hardman. You have to respect the speed that he brings. So the safeties rolled a bit faster, maybe respected him a little bit more, reacted a little bit quicker to where Micole Hardman was going. And this year, you're not seeing like a respect to that in any sort of the mean. So maybe that he can open things up for other players like a Sky Moore to maybe get more openings, maybe create more opportunities for Rashee Rice. I'm going to be really interested to see what his snap count splits will be, his like share in terms of like where he lines up in the wide receiver room. I think that's going to be really interesting. But overall, I mean, I think it's a very low risk move for the Chiefs, especially with Justin Watson going to be hurt. I don't think he's going to be on the IR. Andy Reid didn't act like he was going to be placed on the IR. It's just going to be one of those things he's going to be working through. Doesn't sound like he'll play this week against the Chargers. So it's going to be one of those things where I do think that it's good for Nick, as you mentioned, the depth of it. The depth of the move is going to be good. Do I think the Chiefs are done at the trade deadline? I don't know. I don't think so. I would hope not. They're not done, but I think Micole Hardman is a very solid piece. 1 catch, 6 yards is what all he had this year. Inactive for a couple games with the New York Jets.
That's crazy.
They just weren't using him. They just weren't.
Red zone. I just thought about it.
Ooh.
I watched that Denver game. They sucked in the red zone. The Chiefs usually are great in the red zone, but the Chiefs left. That game should have been done and dusted in the first half versus
Absolutely.
Denver. And there, so I think when you bring back Micole, that's the red zone threat. So that's We just figured out Blue's Clues.
We got it. Big B, I'm curious. Do you think? I asked you if you're surprised by it. Do you think that this war? Do you think this works? Basically, is all I'm saying. Do you think that this fixes the Chiefs' wide receiver room? I know I'm not there of just like, oh, yep, Chiefs are shoo-in for the AFC Championship.
Right. Right.
What do you think about the grand scheme of things when it comes to the Chiefs' wide receiver room? Do you think that like this is like a Band-Aid, or do you think it's more of like an ace wrap when it comes to the wide receiver room?
I mean, first of all, I don't think it fixes it, but I think it absolutely helps. It helps it, so it's more of an ace bandage versus a stop the bleeding, because I think he can absolutely help what the Chiefs are doing. Nick is right. Just in the red zone alone, if you take everything out, he's going to help you down there, but he absolutely is going to help, and it'll help other guys. Because look, we love Sky Moore, but Sky Moore hadn't been able to get open.
Yeah,
that's part of the problem. Sky Moore can't get open. People keep asking what's going on with him. The guy's not open. He gets no separation. That's why. So this can help. And if other guys just can't do it and can't figure it out, hopefully Hardman can. So I think it's I think it helps. I absolutely think it helps. It's not okay, we got him back on the team and we're going to the Super Bowl. It's not that kind of move. There's still other things that they got to do. I'm still not opposed to the Hollywood Brown move, because Hollywood Brown is a better receiver than Hardman. He just is. So I'm still not opposed to that, but this helps. This is a step in the right direction.
Nick, can I ask you this? Do you think they do anything else? Do you think the Chiefs are done?
When's the trade deadline?
That's a great question.
So here's the thing. So you have this locker room, and what is this, like week 7, week 8? I don't even know what are we in?
Going on week 7.
So we're in week 7. So you have guys who have been in the locker room for 7 weeks plus training camp. So 11 weeks, almost 3 months. And you've been doing it. And you just bring in Micole Hardman and you bring in Frank Clark, right? So you bring in these two older people who are with the Chiefs through all the years. And it's like, how much more can you bring into that locker room, right? Before you start getting guys skittish, before guys start thinking like, what are we doing here? Like, and then you get, what happens is you bring in so many guys to the locker room, like new guys, then it makes you, instead of trying, it's a weird thing to say, instead of trying to win, you're afraid of losing, or instead of, doing the right things, you're afraid of messing up. Yeah. So you're thinking, oh shit, there's turnover. Like what's going to happen if I mess up? So then once that happens, you start playing conservatively instead of playing loose and free and the beautiful game like Barcelona plays over in Spain. But yeah, so you might add one, but it'd be risky because you might throw off the nucleus of that locker room.
So another move that is reported to happen, that's really, I think everyone kind of assumed would happen more so than Micole Hardman coming back, was Frank Clark coming back. Reports say that he's like, I think he even tweeted out that he's landing in Kansas City on tomorrow, and he's going through a physical. He broke his own news that like they're more than likely going to sign them. I think it would have been crazy. Matty Lane said this on the KC Lab. He said he would be more surprised if Frank Clark played a snap for somebody else other than the Chiefs in 2023 than if he would if the Chiefs brought him back. He had a more higher of a chance of just not playing at all if the Chiefs weren't going to bring him back, I think. And I agree with Matty on that. By the way, trade deadline is Halloween. They still have a little more days to get something done on that. That's a Tuesday, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's weird. But anyway, thoughts on Frank Clark coming back? I know we're flipping sides of the ball here. Pass rushers are big. I think Chris Jones in his press conference said you could never have too many pass rushers. Nope. That's how the old adage goes, Big B. What do you think about Frank Clark kind of joining this bunch here in Kansas City?
It can't hurt. It absolutely can hurt. The one thing that the Chiefs have been doing a good job is getting a ton of pressures.
Yeah.
Getting pressure on the quarterback, which pressures cause, bad throws and things of that nature. However, sacks, you got to be able to get guys to the ground. And in playoffs, Frank Clark can do that. So if we're counting on Frank Clark to be in there and the Chiefs getting to the playoffs, Frank Clark can do that in the playoffs because he's proven it time and time again.
I'm looking at the Chiefs, who they played, and they really haven't played minus Detroit, like top 5 offensive lines.
No.
And so this D-line has been playing well versus mediocre offensive lines.
Yeah.
Right? Like you look at here, they started out with, the Lions, and the Lions have a really good offensive line. Frank Ragnow's an elite center. Penei Sewell at right tackle is so much fun to watch. So much fun. One of my favorite tackles to watch in this league. Jaguars, nobody. Bears have my guy, Cody Whitehair, legend. Jets, Mekhi Becton, left tackle, who's a man. Vikings, they had a solid, they had everyone back finally. And the Broncos, I don't know. I mean, but you look at, you get Chargers coming up. It really, minus the Eagles, the Eagles will be Eagles and Bills will be their only test. 2 games.
And the Bills' O-line's not great.
Yeah.
It's better, but it's not great.
There's not a lot of great O-lines in the NFL anymore.
Oh, yeah. I can attest to that. Nick, I know you can attest to that. They don't teach O-line play like they used to. I know I'm an old fart, but you telling me you can never hit the sled? Nobody ever hits the 5 or 7 man sled anymore. I went to a high school practice the other day. That thing might as well have been in a ghost town. They didn't even look at it. I'm like, Jiminy Christmas,
Philly.
What are you doing?
Philly,
I was like, that's why. Nobody knows how to drive block anymore.
Philly be hitting that
sled. What are we doing?
Philly be hitting a sled along with his whippets in the parking lot, man.
Yeah.
Philly will. Philly hits the sled. With that,
good. They should. The sled is perfect. If anything, it teaches you hand placement and how to drive block.
Yeah.
Especially when your offensive line coach gets mad at you and makes you do it for 30 yards. That used to drive me insane.
Such a 90s punishment.
Oh,
drive the sled.
We're gonna do it and you're right, Nick. It was the punishment because you did it all the way down the field. He sat on one end. You had to turn it and then come all the way back. It was absolutely insane. I hated every second of it.
When I coached O-line, I love to do that. I love to just yell at them. And push the sled. Especially when one side's getting pushed a little bit further than the other and it gets all crooked. You get to lay into those other kids on the other side. Like, you let them do that to you? Oh,
exactly. Work them against each other. What an evil villain.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, O-line play, I feel like, has been down all across the league in terms of as a whole. And it might be, you ready for this one, Big B? This is a real old head thing to say. I'm 25, and I'm going to say this. It's the forward pass ruining offensive line play. No, I'm just kidding. Teddy Roosevelt invented the forward pass, by the way. People forget that. Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt.
Really?
Yeah, he saved football with the forward pass. Look at
he was a Harvard man.
Smart dude.
Well, the thing, I believe it because when football first started, a guy somebody would die every game. All they did, it was worse than rugby. People would literally just die. I'm like, oh,
just straight up,
what's going on here?
Just straight up, like all of Ed Reed's Hall of Fame highlights. Targeting.
Yeah,
targeting.
Back, they didn't even wear a helmet, much less the leather helmet. They didn't wear nothing. They just went out there and just I'm like, oh my gosh, man, what is going on out here? So thank goodness for the forward pass. But yeah, man, yes. I've noticed the last 3 to 5 years, offensive line play has been bad. You'll get some good offensive linemen, but as a whole, it's just bad. It's just not enough. And like I said, I joke about the sled, but it's the truth. There's not enough guys driving. They don't stick on blocks. They come off blocks too easy. Now the other guy tries too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, it's just not enough technical work. It's crazy.
Well, here's the thing too. I think with the rise of the mobile quarterback, I think O-line play has slipped.
Yep.
Because Mahomes bails out his O-line and Daniel Jones
did
not bail out his O-line. I hate to keep bringing that up, but I'm thinking if Lamb or Mahomes were back there, it's not 11 sacks, it's like 4 or 5. You know, but 11 is like, okay, look, I mean, can Peyton Manning play? Could Peyton Manning have played right now? Or would he have been smart enough to build a fortress around himself?
Yeah.
Right? I think that's the thing. I think the quarterbacks aren't doing enough film work. They're too mobile. And it's just, it's the offensive line, maybe the overall play. Who knows, man? It's weird.
Well, but guys like Manning and Brady, they could manipulate the pocket versus running. They could step up, climb up in the pocket, sidestep, and still get the ball off with guys all around them. Didn't matter. They're still getting the football off, where now guys, they hold it longer. Like Daniel Jones holds on to the football. And it's crazy because he can actually move, but he holds on to the football and holds and doesn't move. He acts like, well, the pocket's here. Nobody's ever going to get through. I'm like, yeah, that's not really how football works, but okay, it's bad.
You can tell he grew up wealthy, right? He's got trust. He has all trust. He's got trust. He trusts everybody, right? He's no trust.
Jeez.
Those Duke QBs, man. Those Duke QBs will get you. Before we hit break here real quick, I want to talk about like just kind of put some numbers behind what we're talking about. I know we've talked about this, Nick, going back to even when we were doing the podcast with BJ about the Chiefs defense seemingly gets pressures, but doesn't convert them into sacks. And the Chiefs offensive line will allow pressures and not turn them into sacks because Patrick Mahomes basically doesn't turn them into sacks. Kansas City is 13th right now in the league in terms of pressures given up at 65. That's a decent amount of pressures. That's top half, but they are 31st in the league in terms of sack given up. Only 3. Patrick Mahomes has been sacked 3 times this year when they're giving up that much pressure. It is quite astonishing when you think about just the offensive line. And listen, like we're going to talk about the offensive line more when it comes to the 5 Things podcast. That'll come out on Saturday. You guys will hear about that. You know that me, Big B, Nick Leckey got you covered when it comes to the Chiefs offensive line, what they're going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. But I just find that wildly interesting about, I think it's a good point you guys bring up about the scrambling quarterback and being able to kind of fix some things that the offensive line does. But we're going to take a break real quick. And I told you guys at the top, I had a question that I think we could mull over for a little bit. And I'm going to ask you guys this right after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
That's Nick Leckey. That's Brien Hanley. I'm Tucker Franklin, hanging out with you on Outside the Trenches, presented by our friends at 5 Farms Irish Cream Liqueur. Fellas, this question I wrote down was something I've kind of been mulling over all day, actually.
Wow. And it's not a blind nail. This is like an actual question.
No, this is an actual question. This is maybe I could have made it my blind nail, but I think I want it out there for us. Is there a best team in the NFL?
Eagles.
Are you sure?
Positive. Who would you rather not face?
I think there's something up with that offense. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% certain with that offense. There's something up with it.
Eagles are good. Lions aren't horrible.
Are you afraid of the Lions though? In the playoffs,
not,
honestly.
And that's the thing. You're not. 49ers, look, we can talk all we want and say Brock Purdy all we want. He's played great. And he did until I've been saying, I know you said it too, Nick. Game pressure, some real game pressure happened. And even then he drove him down. He got him in position. So I'll give him credit, but
fair.
I mean, I'm not going to say that I'll take my chances facing Brock Purdy in the playoffs. I would rather face him versus Jalen Hurts. I would rather face Brock Purdy.
Like how you do a power ranking is you ask yourself that question. Who would I not want to go play it at their home in the playoffs? Or even neutral site. Who would I not want to play at a neutral site in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
And who would you not want to play at a neutral site in the Super Bowl?
What I think is really interesting. Well, Nick, you brought this up when it came to college football, of everybody having these like snap reactions of 1-game seasons, essentially, of like whatever happens that game is the whole season. That's starting to bleed over to the NFL a little bit more than I think than I even paid attention to maybe last year. I feel like it wasn't as reactionary as people are this year.
I've been all over for years, Tucker. Welcome.
Thanks.
You must be new here.
Yeah. I am. Yeah, I am. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it is so funny when you see the Bills beat the Dolphins right? And they're like, oh, Bills are a wagon. Nobody can beat. Who's gonna beat the Bills? Nobody can beat the Bills. Look at how much they ran over the Dolphins. The Dolphins don't have a defense. They can't beat anybody in the playoffs. Why do you think the Dolphins are good? And then you have that same Buffalo team play a Jacksonville Jaguars team in London, which, by the way, they were like in London for like 3 weeks leading up to that game.
That would be awesome.
Also, not fair for Buffalo, who has to deal with that travel. They lose to a Jaguars team, and then it's, I don't know if this team can. I don't know if this team can do it. We'll have to see. It's just so the snap reactions like that. But I do think, back to my Eagles point, I think that the Eagles offense the whole year, we can talk about it from the Chiefs' perspective too, hasn't been doing what we anticipated the Eagles offense to be doing. And Jason Kelce talks about on the New Heights podcast, he's worried about the red zone offense, and the red zone offense hasn't been very good. And you kind of saw it come and bite them a little bit on that Jalen Hurts touchdown, which I'm not sure how that was a touchdown, truthfully, but apparently the booth had a view that we didn't, because none of the camera angles they showed really Jalen Hurts breaking the plane, or had a great view, I guess, of Jalen Hurts breaking the plane. But losing to the Jets in the game like that, I know the weather was kind of crappy. The weather was kind of crappy all over in the Northeast. I'm trying to think. There's another. Oh, it was the Niners game, right, where it was kind of rainy all over in Cleveland, and they kind of had some poor weather as well. So, yeah, I'm not sure if there's just a clear-cut top team is really what I'm getting at, because I feel like in years past we've been able to say like, oh yeah, it's the Chiefs. Oh yeah, it's last year it was the Eagles. You know, it's the Bills. I don't know. At this point, we got a clear-cut top.
We do.
The Dolphins. I mean, I like the Dolphins too, man.
They're not it.
But
do you fear them in the playoffs, Big B?
The problem is, it was just going to say their defense, man. I don't know. You got to have a defense that can travel. Even if you're playing at home, your defense has got to show up. And I don't know. I just don't know.
To me, it's Eagles and Chiefs, because the Chiefs are always a weird team. They win. They know how to win differently. And I think to be a Super Bowl team, you have to win differently, right? You have to win through defense. You have to win through rushing the ball. You have to win through passing the ball. You know, you have to win a blowout, win a LSU Alabama 6-9 game. You know, the multiples of 3, and the Chiefs are sneaky. The Chiefs don't look powerful, right? But they're like, oh no, we're not. Oh, and all of a sudden they just like straighten up, burn playoffs.
Yeah,
right.
You know. But, you know, I think Kelce, like, you know, he brings up a good point, Jason Kelce. Offense, to me, and we've talked about this before, the only true measure of a good offense is your red zone efficiency. Period.
Absolutely.
Period. You could have 1,000 yards, but if you're not putting numbers on the board when you get that plus 30 or minus 30, whatever the hell you call it, it's nothing. It's your what do they say in golf? Drive for
show, putt for dough.
Yeah, that's the same thing. You know, put it in the red zone, get a touchdown in the red zone. 3 points is guaranteed. If you get 3 points, you're not celebrating. That's a guarantee. You should already have that, unless you're San Francisco and decided Cleveland did versus Cleveland. You know, but that's the mark of a good offense: red zone efficiency. That's the only stat I care about.
What was there like 2 games this weekend where teams scored over 26 points? I mean, that's some bad offense.
Did we have that as one of our subjects, right? Did we? Was that in the pregame chatter?
We've talked about that already this year, but it just keeps continuing. Of just like defenses are starting at a pace that we haven't really seen in a few years. But it could just be offenses being bad. Like it could just be the defenses are playing well, or it could just be the offenses aren't good. And maybe that goes back to the offensive line play that we were talking about earlier. Maybe that all connects there. Of like maybe the offensive line play hasn't been as good as it has been in recent years. So maybe that's why the offenses are down. It starts in the trenches. We know that on this podcast. So it's really interesting.
Have we always had, like off the top of your head, how many like premier DNs are in this league right now?
Oh gosh.
Right. Look at Detroit, Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep.
What's his face? I know he hurt his knee, but Chubb before he hurt his knee, and then who's on it? Myles Garrett. I haven't even heard of Aaron Donald, for Christ's sake. Is he playing? Is he hurt? What's the deal?
Yeah,
he's old.
He's older, but he's still doing his thing.
He's still good.
They're still accounting for him. Oh,
Okay,
yeah. I watched the game the other day. They are still accounting for him. And he's not – it's like he's gotten a step slower because he's getting back there. He's just not getting the sack now. But he's still blowing offensive linemen up. It's incredible.
Fletcher Cox with the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all these premier DNs, right? But then how many now take the flip side. How many premier wide receivers can you name that are actually like doing their thing? Like this year.
Well, I guess Jefferson's hurt.
Yeah, IR.
Tyreek.
Right? So,
I mean,
it's been a down year.
That's what I'm saying. There's been this weird sort of like, remember like the greatest game ever was the 55-53 LA versus Kansas City game.
Yeah.
If we had that this year, the earth would explode. Like I just open up and just explode. It's a weird like sort of like has offensive line play, no premier wide receivers, and as the defense has just gotten better.
And that's a possibility. I mean, it's something to think about. I know the Chiefs defense has gotten better in terms of just like who they have on their team. Max Crosby, another guy that needs to be thrown out there, I think. And as a Chiefs fan, it hurts me to say. I would love Max Crosby if he was a Kansas City Chief, but since he's a Raider, I have to hate him, which sucks because I think he's a really good football player. And I think that he's a really great guy on top of it. So I wish you just come to Kansas City. That would make things a lot easier for me personally. But he should be in like the defensive player of the year conversation in terms of like he leads like in pressure rate in terms of just like hang on a second. I don't know if this is right. I just looked this up. He has 221 pass rush snaps. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Okay, that's wrong. That makes more sense. I was gonna say he's got 100% pressure rate on 221%. That's not true, but it's 18% with a win rate of 26% on 221 pass rush snaps.
1 out of 4 ain't bad. You know that.
I mean, he wins constantly. So I think, Nick, to your point, like there's a lot of good defensive linemen out there.
Bosa's.
San Francisco has like 5 of them.
20.
Yeah.
They have like all of them. The Bosa's, TJ Watt. That was one of the ones I was
waiting for you to chime in.
He might be your team MVP. Truthfully, he might score the most points on the team. If you guys didn't have a kicker, that would be it right there. It's TJ.
Oh wow,
he's right. I mean, I'd be mad if he was lying, but he's not lying.
Oh, this is an interesting comment here from Super Golden Chris. Great pass rushers have always been around. It's these average quarterbacks to blame. Thoughts on that?
Dak's lost a step. Dak is 100%. He has not gotten it out. He's making a lot of business moves. Joe Burrow's hurt. Mm-hmm. Who else is a good quarterback?
Herbert hasn't played very well this year. Josh Allen's played good. Yep,
he's played good. Lamar technically has played good, other than the one bad game and the bad quarter and a half against the Steelers. Yeah. He's played good.
I like how he said technically. I
mean, but anytime you're completing 74% of your passes, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Statistically, he's played good.
No, he said technically. That's funny. Did you not like that? You can't give a Raven compliment, can you?
That's exactly right.
That's why it's
same thing with me and the Raiders. I get it.
That's exactly right. And I love Lamar, but no.
It's like,
I can't go all the way there.
Podcast, yeah. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, Big B was just waving his terrible towel.
Yeah. Can't go all the way there. Can't do it. Won't do it.
But you're right. I think that's a good point too, right? The QB play. I was telling someone when I was with Drew Brees, we would have dinner on Thursday nights, and his O-lineman, you know, we'd have dinner at 7. He'd get there at 7:30. He'd leave at like 9, and he would come from the film room, go back to the film room. And I'm curious if a lot of these guys are Manzelling it. You know, are they getting 0 hours on that iPad watching film? Like,
I think that's hard to do, man.
That's impossible to do.
0 hours, like that's hard to do.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of that. I think it's a combination of everything. Part of the problem, and I know we've talked about it, they keep paying mediocre quarterbacks. That's the problem.
That's what it is. If you
stop paying mediocre Daniel Jones $40 million a year and give the guy 20, Then what? Stop paying mediocre quarterbacks all this money. There's nothing written in stone that says because you're going to be the starter, you have to make this type of money because Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen make this kind of money. No, you don't have to make anywhere close to that because you're not anywhere close to them, which is fine for our football team. That's okay. We want you to be the starter, but we're not paying you $40 million to do it.
Hey. I know Dable has a long history with the Bills, built that offense, knows Josh Allen. So that game was an anomaly where they Giants. But is it Terrell Pryor? Is he or is that someone else? Who was the quarterback?
Tyrod Taylor.
Thank you. I was like, no way, that guy played with me.
He played well.
They look freaking good. 13-year dude. Yes. I mean, granted, it's a one data set, so we're not going to hyperbole it, but they look great. Like he commanded that team, and we'll see if this can last. But I mean, there's a guy who's probably going to get a $30 million deal next year. But you're right, Big B. I think you're onto something. Like Mac Jones, and I don't like to criticize too much, but how the hell does Mac Jones still have a job?
No clue.
Stinks.
Spiders, yeah.
No clue. I have no clue how he has a job. There's a bunch of guys that you could say. Here's another one. Geno Smith. Geno Smith played first of all, he sat on the bench for a decade, literally a decade. Had a good year last year, gets all this money, and he is right back to where he was before last year. I mean, it's crazy how desperate teams are for quarterbacks, and they're just throwing this crazy money around. Like, I don't think it's not wise because you could build up your football team. I know you got to have a quarterback, and you do. But you don't have to pay your quarterback. He doesn't have to be always. If he's not the best player, you don't have to pay him the most money.
So true.
I mean, you just don't.
I mean, the Chiefs have been in that situation before. Matt Castle, they gave him $60 million.
There you go.
I love Matt Castle as a phenomenal human being, my friend. I texted him the other day. Great guy. Love Matt Castle.
Yes.
I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah.
Give him $60 million.
Hey, last thought on this, and this kind of sums it up. This sums up where the state of quarterbacks getting paid are. You have flipping college quarterbacks who are demanding a cut.
That's a wild
of the team equity. It's that bad. Like,
there's no way that works. No team will do that.
No owner
reaching for.
Well, first of all, you can't do it just because of the collective bargaining agreement. But there's no owner that's ever going to do that. Ever going to do that. Ever.
Unless you prove yourself, like Mahomes, and then they'll make 33 slots and ownership, revenue share.
Mahomes came out on when we were recording this podcast on Wednesday saying that he wants to be an owner of an NFL team.
Good for him.
It makes me, as a Chiefs fan, I don't know how I feel about it because like the Hunts have owned the Chiefs for a long time. It's like, so the Hunts are going to sell to the Mahomeses. That makes sense. Okay, yeah, do that because I don't want Patrick Mahomes to be involved with another NFL franchise.
Yeah,
I can't deal with that. Mentally, I cannot deal with that. With Patrick Mahomes, seeing him support another NFL franchise, that's not going to happen. But
what if Mahomes bought the Raiders? How would that make you feel?
Oh my gosh! He already owns the Broncos.
I knew that was going.
I mean, but there was a rumor that Mahomes is talking about, he re-upped his contract, but he wants to finish his career with the Steelers. So, I don't know.
Stop it.
I'm just saying it was out there. It was out there 2 weeks ago. He wants to finish his career as a Pittsburgh Steelers. In a uniform. He said he loves greatness, so he wanted to be a part of it. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
I thought you were bringing up the point where Patrick Mahomes in the negotiation of his contract did bring up he wanted equity in the team. That was something that he had brought up before, but I think Tom Brady had tried that before too. So it's not something that like players.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't. It's in the collective bargaining agreement. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to
own your lane, bro.
Because if you get traded, then what? Because you can't own one team by playing. You just can't do that.
I was gonna say, what would happen then? Jerry Jones would be on that field in a heartbeat. That's what would happen.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Jerry Jones was
playing quarterback.
I mean, he would think, what, I can do this better.
He ain't giving up. He ain't giving up a cut to win Super Bowls.
No.
The owner's giving up a cut to win a Super Bowl. They want it. They don't want it that bad.
Right. When they give up cuts, they don't just hand them out. They sell them.
Yes.
They sell ownership. They don't just, hey, here you go. I'm going to give you 3% of the team. No, that's not how that works. They sell 3% of the team.
Yeah.
That's not going to work out for old C Boogie out there. And which, by the way, did not look very good against Notre Dame.
Not at all.
He threw some bad interceptions. They have an awful defense. There's a lot that we can talk about with USC because they did not look good. Caleb Williams in script. We were talking with Matt Lane about this, who does a lot of our draft content here at KCSN. In script, Drake May is way better in script, inside the form of a play than what Caleb Williams is. Caleb Williams, obviously an incredible quarterback, can make the plays outside of the pocket, freelance, and he can do like the Patrick Mahomes-esque throws. He thinks Drake May is better when it comes. Esque.
That gets thrown around too. Like that's why we're in the position we're at, Tucker. Is because people say Mahomes-esque. Is he Jones-esque?
Listen. Jones-esque. I'm with you. Like I think that his comparison to Patrick Mahomes is a little overblown. And there's people saying right now that's like, oh, he could start on an NFL team right now and he'd be like Patrick Mahomes. Like that's a little too far.
Way too far.
This isn't a college football podcast. But anyway, we're on it. We're on this train, so we're gonna ride it.
Great USC quarterback, right? We've talked about that before.
It's a great point.
They get all this freaking hype, and they're out in the Pac-12, which sucks at football, right?
Well, this year they're pretty good. This year
they're pretty good.
Versus each other.
And no, they were pretty good
got some
outside
dogs.
of it. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Who have they played?
Washington's a good team. Oregon's a good team.
Good football team. Oregon's a good football team. If Utah had a quarterback, their quarterback blew his knee out in the Rose Bowl. If he could play, they would be good because their defense is crazy, but they can't score any points. They're not bad. The conference isn't bad. It's the best in the country this year for sure.
It's true.
It's a weird year for football. It is a
weird year.
It's the last year of the Pac-12, and they decided to be the best conference in the country.
That I think is absolutely hilarious. Just hilarious.
The irony is rich.
Wazoo's pretty well. They got smacked by Arizona, but like before that, like Wazoo was playing pretty well. Oregon State,
not bad.
Just wait till November, right? Like it's all gonna sort itself out. You're gonna be like, Nick, you were right. November happened, and these teams suck.
I've been looking at flights to try to get out to Vegas to go to the last Pac-12 championship game, just because I just want to be there, man. I just want to be there. It's out in the Legion. Went to East West Shrine Bowl there the last couple of years. It's now in Frisco. It's at the Star, baby. So I'll be down there in Dallas. When
is it?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
East West Shrine Bowl. Big B. You know what?
It's 10 minutes from my house.
Stay at the crib. Go swimming at Mr. Hanley's house.
You can't go swimming. No, I don't know you.
Talk to his neighbors who use it when he's out of town.
Man, I still got PTSD from somebody sneaking in. I can't.
That's
man.
fine. That's fine. But no, it's at the Star in Frisco, February 2nd or something like that. Whatever that like Thursday is the game. But
nice.
they'll have that week there. You sneak on up.
I think I will do that.
They'll be done with Texas high school football 2 weeks before that. You know, they'll have this.
It goes on forever.
The state finals is like Christmas Eve.
Yes.
No way.
Yes, it is, man. He's not kidding. It's always like a joke. If Christmas is like on a Thursday, the Saturday before is the last high school football game.
Yeah.
They start late?
They do not start late.
We were 11-4 my junior year. We won state, and
like 15 games.
Yeah, bro.
The playoffs are a million games.
December 7th or December 12th, and there's still one more round because we were Division I. There was Division II playoffs. They have one more game, so they're like, yeah.
The playoffs are a whole nother season in itself. I think that you play like 6 or 7 games in the playoffs to win the state.
Yeah.
That's like more than most like Division I colleges play.
They do too.
DeSoto, Duncanville coming up, Big B.
Yeah, big game.
That's a big
Duncanville's
game, Tucker.
Really good.
They're like nationally ranked teams.
Yeah,
and DeSoto's home to Von Miller.
Yep. Ooh. It's big time football, and the place will be packed. I mean, hold 20,000 seat stadium, right? And it'll be They'll play there. They'll play wherever, and it'll be packed. Absolutely packed. It's crazy.
There's a school with the mascot of the Bullfrogs. It's not. I think it's in Fort Worth. Maybe it's Lake Worth, Texas. Bullfrogs. That's the only Texas school I can really remember because it's a cool mascot. The Bullfrogs. We need more Bullfrogs in college athletics. I mean, TCU's the Horned Frogs, so I mean, I guess that's kind of close. But like Bullfrogs, they're green. They got a leaping frog as their logo. Look at that. I think it's Lake Worth, Texas.
Is it aggressive? Is it an aggressive bullfrog? Does it have like fangs, or is it rabbit?
I mean, I don't.
You need an aggressive.
So.
Like Jackrabbit is like the most mild mascot I could think of.
Yeah,
but it's still Jackrabbit. It's like Jackrabbit. Like, ah. Did you see me Jackrabbit that day?
It is Lake Worth. I was right, by the way. What a great memory. They need to use the bullfrog more. It looks like they use the interlocking LW a little bit more than they should. And this has been Texas high school football logos on Outside the Trenches. So
there's only a billion high schools in Texas.
There's a million.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And every one of them plays football. Every one of them plays football.
They have 6-man or 8-man there.
They got it all.
Yeah, I think they have it all.
I have no clue.
They mess around.
Really? I know Nebraska has 6-man. Missouri has 8-man.
If they got 11 boys in the school, they got a football team.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
That's funny. All right, well, I guess we should get to Blind Nil. Who wants to start us?
I'll start. You all know me. I'm on the Halloween train.
Yes, sir.
I've been on the Halloween train, and I'm going to stay that way. Yep, until Halloween is over. So, I don't think we talked about this as far as who is the scariest Halloween villain? Who is
Wait, hold on. Define that.
Okay. Like the best / scariest. Like if you were real life, who would you be afraid of?
Like a horror, like any from the horror movie genre?
From the horror movie genre. Who would you actually be afraid of?
The devil.
Can I say, can I say the devil in Exorcist?
I knew that's where Nick was going. I knew that's where he's going.
You never see the devil because he jumps in everybody's body. That's different.
There was a damn demon in next to the bed when it was like negative 400 Kelvin in her room in The Exorcist, right? Okay, we'll rule out that one. Okay, horror movie. You can't do the devil. That's too easy. So I'm gonna eliminate that one to make it hard. Okay, so IRL, you caught him in real life. Nightmare on Elm Street used to freak me out because as a kid, I'm like, well, guess who's not going to bed ever again, right? I was like, not me. But Freddy Krueger, it's not. Jason, I feel like I could run away from Jason.
Can you though?
I can't. I couldn't hit him with my car.
He always catches up.
Up. As soon as you turn to run and you stop and you turn and look back, he is right behind you.
Do you think Count Chocula in real life is sort of like deviant?
Probably. You see how much chocolate that guy has?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
You can't be a deviant and like you can't have that much chocolate and not be a deviant.
Right. Just spreading type 2 diabetes across the world.
Everywhere.
Just everywhere. Just let's see here. Why am I drawing a blank?
That's a good one.
Ghostface.
I thought about Ghostface, but like
because it could be anyone.
But Shaggy, I'm stuck on the actor who played Ghostface in one.
I love all the Halloween. Someone said April H from The Ring. I didn't watch the Ring series.
I haven't seen The Ring either.
The Saw. I'd say who's the
Jigsaw?
Not Jigsaw. No. What's the other? Is there another movie? What's the movie where like the guy was on the floor the whole time, and he was like the mastermind?
That was a Saw. That was the very first Saw.
Saw 1.
Yep, that was the very first one.
And then he hit the thing and locked him in.
Yep, forever. Unbelievable.
I like that one because much to the Scream thing, you don't know who the hell it is. And guess what? The greatest trick, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait, Big B, kick us off, man. Who's the scariest?
Mine is Michael Myers. Michael Myers has made a comeback over the years, but if you watch the first Halloweens, first of all, Michael Myers is a real dude. Okay, he is a real person, escaped, psychiatric patient, He gets out, just starts killing people. He didn't have no machete or anything. He's just using a kitchen knife, not like a butter knife, killing people.
Yeah.
You know, at first. So I don't know. I like Michael Myers, like I said. And typically he's right outside my door here, hanging out at the Hanleys too.
Did you lock up your dog? Does your dog approve?
She does not approve. She doesn't handle any of it. My wife has all these animatronics. She doesn't like any of those things. So, but yeah, I like Michael Myers for me because he's a real guy.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I like that. You know, I can't think of one, but yeah, I do like Pennywise. Guess you've seen the movie Constantine?
No.
Keanu Reeves, late 90s. Amazing. A comic book adaptation. It deals with the occult and the supernatural. Shia LaBeouf is in it. The guy from a lot of shows who's like the Russian guy is in it. It's really cool. Check that out, Constantine. That's like an underrated Halloween flick. The devil's in it too, by the way. And to me,
the devil
makes an appearance.
To me, I grew up Mexican Catholic, right, which is the most Catholic you can get, minus Italian Catholic or Irish Catholic. You know, but it's and so we played the Ouija board one time and just scared the shit up as a family for like Thanksgiving. Like, hey, let's break out the Ouija board, let's burn some candles. I'm like,
as a family.
Scarred for life. And then I saw The Exorcist one time, and she played the Ouija board on the ping pong table downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
She got possessed. So to me, I was always like Big B's, Michael Myers, like it could happen, like the Ouija board, like that could happen.
Yeah,
you get possessed with the Ouija board. So
I don't know.
Exorcist, the devil. It's just that's the scariest one.
I believe in all that stuff too.
I do too.
All that Ouija board,
Yep.
all that exorcism.
Yep.
I believe all of those things can happen. That's why I just don't mess with it. I don't tempt fate. I just
how
don't.
do they still sell those things? I don't know.
I don't know. My wife, she goes and watches them. That's how. She loves every one of them.
That's my thing. Is I don't mess with like that like supernatural type stuff because
it can happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna test fate. Somebody's gonna laugh at me. Okay, that's fine. But you know, Pennywise isn't gonna end up in my house one day either because I'm not testing fate. Although he is downstairs by my bathroom right now.
Guess who doesn't walk by storm drains?
There you go. There you go.
You know what's interesting? They tore down, stole Kansas. Producer Nick. Have you guys ever looked at a mirror, done the mirror test?
What?
Candyman? No. This is different. Candyman. Don't bring up Candyman. It's bedtime. Big B. Pretty much. So, like, if you do like a mirror, like say this red book is the mirror, and you put your finger here, right, or you put like your hand up here, and you look to the side of the mirror, and the mirror can see behind it. Like it's like, I don't know how the mirror knows it's there, but it knows it's there. Just try it. You'll see it.
No, I'm not going to try that. I'm not going to do that. The mirror's going to do something, going to be upset and do something back. I'm not going to do it. I'll take your word for it.
Speaking of mirrors, there's a scary movie about a mirror. There's like a possessed mirror.
Mirrors are freakier than we give them credit, like Ouija boards.
Mirrors are weird. Like there's something up there. There is something up there. That's a great question, Big P.
Yeah, it's Halloween, man.
I like Halloween. That. All right, Tucker, do you have a football question? Do you have a football blind now?
Yeah, it's adjacent.
Okay, do a football, and I'll because I've got a non. We'll end on a solid blind. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have any more thoughts on Tucker? Did you have? I apologize.
I don't think so. I saw somebody type in Hannibal Lecter was one that they put in there. I think Hannibal Lecter would be a scary one. Annabelle.
Right? That's a real
guy. Again, right. Yeah.
Who's the Chainsaw Massacre guy?
Leatherface.
That would be. I was scared of chainsaws for a while.
Well, first of all, that's a true story.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that until just now.
The very first one is a true story.
That was probably the Lake Worth Bullfrogs was probably the most the nearest high school. Lake Worth, little 2A school out in East Texas, and south to Abilene.
All right. Those are my final thoughts on that, by the way.
Okay.
I think I got everything on. My question, trade deadline coming up. It is on Halloween, 3 p.m. Eastern time. On Halloween is trade
I don't know why I
deadline.
want to howl every time you say that. I do.
Oh, like that is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Which sport has the best trade deadline?
Football.
NBA's is pretty intense. Like I feel like there's always something going down in the NBA at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Free
They
agency,
trade like bench players' contracts. That's the like you're like they trade. Hey, we're gonna trade this guy who's probably worn a suit more to the game than he and on the court than the coaches all season.
The thing about the NBA is usually because they have to match up contracts.
Yeah.
So, you get more excitement and you're usually getting a star to go to a contender or something like that. I think the NFL is starting to get around to that a little bit more because the NFL for so long was just trading draft picks and stuff like that. Baseball is really good too.
It is.
You get contender, you get that pitcher that, came from the Mets that came to the Rangers or going to the Astros. Don't get me started on my Mets, but either way, yeah, it's I don't know. I think basketball and then baseball.
I'd agree. Listen, your Rangers just down the street from you. They're having pretty good time.
I think they're getting whipped right now, but yeah.
I think they're up 2-0 before that,
in
right?
The series, they
in
are.
The series, and they're
Yep.
Looks like Philly's going to be well on their way to the World Series because I know everybody tuned into this football podcast to hear commentary on the AL and NLDS or CS. Sorry. But yeah, no, that's Nick. Any thoughts on trade deadlines? I know as a player, it was probably weird trade deadline time for you. I didn't know. Is there any anxiety for trade deadline?
No, I mean because it's trade deadline. I mean you're already guaranteed your money, so it's like
that's fair.
The trade deadline, you just kind of just swap it, and nothing ever big happened really. Right. There's like one or two the trade deadline. It's a weird concept. But yeah, like mid-season, okay, now I'm over here. It's tough to do in the NFL. Like credit to the Chiefs for making the Kadarius Toney. They trade for Suggs, whatever. And they've always had some good moves. But yeah. I'd say effectiveness-wise, though, like the really good trades, I would say Clinton Portis and then Champ Bailey, right? Wasn't that the trade that like both teams super benefited? Like they literally just traded Hall of Famers, right? With like a running back, like but like, I mean, effective trades, like when like the player swaps. I haven't seen a good one lately. Have you guys seen a good one? Like I haven't seen a good one like that.
In terms of like player swap?
Yeah, like we're straight, like, hey, we need a running back, you need a corner. It's like draft picks, or it's like we're building a squad, or we're tanking for Caleb Williams to have a 10% ownership stake. But no, I'd say basketball or baseball because it has impact.
Yeah, baseball
has immediate impact.
Baseball's a good one. Yeah.
I mean, and there's always some team who's like, screw the league. We're going to give up our best guy to the best team, right? Like we're Detroit. We're going to give up Verlander, right? First rounders.
It's trade deadline time always gets me thinking with that stuff. I do like baseball trade deadline. It's all notifications turn on and everything like that. But yeah, Big B's, you mentioned the NFL has gotten a little bit better when it comes to dishing out at the deadline. But Nick, why don't you take us home, buddy?
All right. So I noticed the leaves are literally falling.
Yeah.
I've noticed the pumpkins are out and about, and it's a little bit of crisp in the air. And we're starting to see who's good and who's not in the NFL, right? Which, only leads us to one conclusion. Fall is here. Minus what I just said, what is your little, it's fall. Okay, now I like this. And then it's official. Like my summer official is when I get like heirloom tomatoes from the farmer's market. I'm like, okay, summer's here. This is my summer treat. And you can't say pumpkin spice latte either because that's a cop-out.
I think for me, Nick, it would be the first time I can put a hoodie on.
Ooh.
The first time. I'm a big hoodie guy.
Hoodie, like actual hoodie, not like around your house, like outside?
Yeah, I like outside. When I can wear a hoodie out and about, I think like, yep, fall is here. Especially hoodie and shorts. That's like pristine weather, hoodie and shorts
yeah.
weather. It is my absolute favorite. I've got a large, I've just got a huge hoodie I found at a thrift store that I just put on, and one that just swallows you, and you just feel nice and comfortable in it. Got a couple of those over here on my rack, but I think that anytime I can put on a hoodie and go out and about in public, that's when I know that, like, yeah, we're here. I'm a big hoodie guy. I know my girlfriend Tara, she is a big crew neck. She loves crew necks. I can get down with the crew neck.
What's the point?
I can get down with the crew neck, but I love the hood. I love the hood and the hoodie, in the kangaroo pocket. Oh, love it all.
That's a good one. Hey, shout out to the KC Sports Network. That's the most legit hoodie I've ever owned in my life.
I have that in here. No, I think it's my.
And I'm not even just saying. I'm like being dead ass, as the kids say. Like, that is.
It's a comfy one, man.
The hood part is like extra long. Like, I feel like a monk.
Big B, you got one?
It don't get fall in Texas though.
That's true.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it was 88 degrees here today. Yeah. So it's weird because there's no fall that really happens. But mine was kind of the same, putting on sweats, but I'm a big which it doesn't happen here, but just in general, I'm a big leaves changing color guy. When the leaves start to change, I grew up, like I said, I grew up in Louisville, so they get a fall there. They get all the seasons there. And there's a lot of green out in that area. So when you see the leaves start to change, for me, that was a big deal. It was crazy because my yard we didn't have a tree in my yard growing up. So the leaves never got in my yard, which was great because my mom would have had me out there raking up leaves all the time. That's miserable. Yeah, it's a bad deal. And luckily I never had to do it because I saw the kids out there. I'm like, ooh, too bad for you. But yeah, that's for me. And when the leaves start to change and start to fall, that for me right there is great fall. That's when fall is here.
I love it.
I think for me, it's a combination of things, and it's so basic, but it's so prescient. But when you can smell, like, you smell fall, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but when you outside, you kind of like smell, and it's sort of this like sort of crisp, sort of you can change, like you can tell, like you can smell like it changing, right? You can feel it changing, right? And it's just this weird little like the activity of summer is sort of getting tuned down, fall is amping up. It's a sort of tweener season. There's no major holiday on the horizon.
Right.
It's like, that to me is fall, like this weird little transition to winter. It trips me out, and I can't pinpoint it, but I had a caramel apple the other day, and that triggered it.
Ooh,
if that ain't the most, right? If that ain't the most youthful, the fall is here thing to me, it's the caramel apple.
Nice.
Green apple dipped in caramel.
That's good. Little Granny Smith.
Yeah. Yes. That's my fall is here thing.
I'm headed to the pumpkin patch this weekend. Tara and I we like to celebrate our anniversary at the pumpkin patch every year. October 21st is our anniversary. Been together 5 years. And we always like to celebrate it at the pumpkin patch. And that is always the ones, because pumpkin patches usually close around Halloween, right? They're usually usually done after then. So we always try to get a pumpkin patch visit in. I love the big pot of just dried corn they got. I'm in there with the kids jumping around in it, doing somersaults, throwing it up in the air. I'm messing. I don't know. It's something about like this, probably the sensory of it. And I'm just like feeling all of like the corn and everything like that. Big fan of that. Big fan of corn mazes as well. And just going out in the field and picking your pumpkin, pulling it off of the vine.
Oh yeah,
that's good fall vibes right there.
That's the best, right? When you're out in the pumpkin patch and you've got your coffee going and you've decided to put some Five Farms Irish cream liquor in your coffee, and just that's fall vibes all the way, man. When it's like when you get the Five Farms going.
Oh, when you get the 5. Nick, you did a really great job of putting a bow on this show with that one right there to round it up, even with the sponsor, a little sponsor sprinkle in there too. It's like you've done this a time or two or something.
I honestly, Tucker, you're the master of it. You have like the smoothest transitions and like the smoothest way. So I tried to be like, what would Tucker do in the situation?
There you go.
Well, you're too kind, and we appreciate everybody who is also kind hanging out with us here on their Wednesday night. Hanging out with us as we just talk some ball, talk some shop here every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. We're live Central Time. Join us if you can. If you can't, we'll be at the podcast. Wherever you get your podcast at KC Sports Network, we will be there as well. So for Nick Leckey, Big B, Brien Hanley, I'm Tucker Franklin. We'll be back next week talking to you after Chiefs win and talking about what's going on in the NFL, because there's going to be, if I know anything about this league, there's going to be a lot more storylines that we're going to talk about. So we'll be back next week. We'll see you later.